Hello everybody, Zep here, and today I am going to be taking a look at all of the 28 killers and making up new meta builds with the new meta perk change. I believe it was 39 perks have recently been changed. A lot of meta killer perks have been completely changed to where they're probably not going to get used anymore. Looking at you, Ruin and Pop. And I'm going to go through on the new PTB today. The PTB is out and we can test each and every build on all of these killers, and I'm looking forward to sharing the new builds. Some of them may not surprise you, and other ones are actually pretty fascinating, and I'm actually proud of how I came up with them. So go ahead, stick around, and enjoy the video, and hope you guys enjoy. Alright, new progression system. New wave unlocking perks. Complete a character's 50th blood web, lets you prestige character, giving you permanent benefits, and resetting the character's blood web to level 1 so you can begin the cycle again. Nothing is lost when you, this is just a never-ending cycle, yeah? All characters that were prestige puts out their order with a special highlight in the character menu. This can be disabled in the settings. Okay. Holy shit, they're all prestige 10, guys. We're not surprised though, are we? Even Nurse is prestige 10. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Artist 6, Sadako 6. Dredge isn't even 1 yet. I P3'd him though. This must have taken older files. In the lobby, we're going to test the build. Again, the build is Jolt, Deadlock, Save the Best, and Corrupt. Pretty sure this is like a no-brainer on Trapper. Alright, the idea behind this build is just Corrupt is really only needed in your setup killers like Trapper and Hag, but with this, Corrupt will give us a little bit of time to build up, and then we have to use. Now, Deadlock will play in to save the best for last as we one-hit people, M1 people rather, that are not our obsession, get Jolt value as well as save the best for last value. And of course, Classic Trapper, save the best for last. In case you trap the obsession, you can pick them up without hitting them to not lose stacks on your save the best for last. We won't give the Jolt proc there. But, I mean, getting an instant hook on a survivor that's probably going to be full health because we don't hit them because save the best for last should work out quite well. Go. Jolt? No, Jolt didn't go off? Oh, it's no cooldown, that's right. I'm always looking to see if there's a cooldown on it. Got him. Does he have Dead Hard? Oh shit, he does! Bro, it looks so dumb. It honestly does. Wait for the Dead Hard. We don't know if Jolt goes off anymore because there's no cooldown, which is odd. Oh, baby. Spicy. Spicy, spicy. Down. Ooh. That's bad. Oh, now she gets it for free. Oh, lucky. Ah, damn. Very nice. She's got the shack pallet. She's not going to use it. She's going to go to the docks instead. Is there a pallet here too? Perfect. Wait, no. I didn't see her make the animation. She made a scream like she went down. I'm about to lose all my fucking stacks here. Now she's got... Okay, overall, this build Solid A1. Literally wouldn't change a thing. It's perfect. Especially, and I know Trapper struggles on indoor maps a lot because the traps are so easily visible on like the game and Larry's, unless you put them with like, the little grass bush and Larry's. But with Jolt, you can definitely get ahead on that. Like especially around the game, the multi layers and no cooldown. It sucks because you don't really know if Jolt got used or not. Because before you would see it get grayed out and go on cooldown when it got used, but now you have to guess if it gets used or not, which isn't too bad. I mean, it lacks information, but it's definitely way up in lethality, which is nice. So, next up, let's discuss Trapper's build. Alright, so, or I'm sorry, next let's discuss Wraith's build. Um, so, looking at Wraith's new build, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Deadlock, Sloppy, Fana, and Jolt. Jolt, Sloppy. Let's ready up, see how fast it is. I really like this, especially since the buff to Fana, so it's 5.5% instead of 5%. The Qs are instant. This is beautiful. Let's go. Alright, next up we have Wraith. With Wraith, we're going to run Deadlock, Jolt, Sloppy, and Fana. I don't really feel like he needs Save the Best. I'm especially doing hit and run, and you just happen to run into the Obsession. It sucks to have to hit them if you have stacks to apply the Sloppy and the Fana. You want to focus on applying the Sloppy and the Fana rather than getting stacks, I think, this build. And then going back to them maybe while they're healing and making them, lose their health progress, ruin any medkits they have if they have perfectly, counted amount of charges for amount of heals they have. Yeah, so I think this will work out quite nicely. Alright, so here we go. Wraith on Gas 7. This is like another pretty balanced map, so let's see how this build will work out on this map. If I see survivors walking, I tend to not want to go towards them. If the Dead Heart changes, I feel like we're going to see a lot more sprinters. If you see a survivor walking in the beginning, just don't even bother if you see multiples. You know what I'm saying? Alright. Dead Heart. There's no Dead Heart. We're going to go straight back to the hook just because we believe they're healing and we want to interrupt this heal and make them lose progress. Found the Kate instead. Is that the dab? Here? Oh, she just stands there like that. Fucking the jolt so far. We're jolting gens that matter. No cooldown. Multiple joints. Jolts. Not be saying multiple joints. Multiple jolts in one spot. Alright. Kate's healing's trifled. God, I'm feeling the minus 10% duration on the speed boost for sure. Jolts again, middle of the map. Heal. To take a hit. That heart looks so derpy. So this just got ended. No cooldown on Jolt, bro. So it just goes to nothing. Good for the hatchets right here, why the fuck not? That's so crazy, dude. Jolt's so strong now. Excellent. Overall, this build, insane. Insane. 10 out of 10. I'd 100% this build. Okay, so Billy, the meta build, I think, I'm not a Billy expert by any means, but I think this is going to be pretty solid. So I was thinking about this because I feel like you definitely want Deadlock and you definitely want Thrilling. Thrilling's going to replace Barbecue in a sense. Whereas on the entire map, you can see if a survivor's on a gen when you pick a survivor up and hook them. It's the same kind of thing. I always thought that Thrilling and Barbecue were kind of redundant of each other, and people always pick Barbecue because of the blood points. But Barbecue only shows auras beyond 40 meters. Now, auras are nice, But if you have Thrilling Tremors, you can tell if someone's within that 40 meters if they're on a gen specifically. So I think that's like a little bit nicer. Unless you're using Lethal Pursuer with Barbecue with the new 3 seconds or 2 seconds, I'm not sure, 2 or 3, that Lethal Pursuer will give to Barbecue's aura reading. If you combine those two, they might be good, because Barbecue's like always been a staple perk on Billy for knowing where to go after the hook. But with Thrilling, at least you can prevent roaming survivors from starting new gens with Thrilling, while at the same time knowing which gens the survivors are immediately on. And this is after picking up a survivor, though. So after you pick up and hook, they could move off, they could not. So it's kind of a give or take. But this is, I feel like it's a solid build. Infectious, of course, most one-shot killers are gonna do well with Infectious. Miters, Billy, Oni, etc. Bamboozle is like whole classic on Billy. You want to shred the pallets with your chainsaw. And if there's a vault, survivors are more likely to use the vault because it's reusable unlike the pallet. So I think this is a fair build. You could do Lethal and Barbecue. Maybe replace Thrilling and Bamboozle with Lethal Barbecue. That could be good as well. But yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty solid Hillbilly build. I think it would do well. Okay. Next, for meta builds, we have Nurse. And for Nurse, we have Starstruck, Infectious, Thrilling, and Deadlock. Okay, so this build, Starstruck, Infectious, Thrilling, Deadlock, it's kind of, if we go back the Billy build. They got rid of the arrow here. If they got rid of the Billy build, go back to the Billy build. So it's Thrilling and Deadlock. Deadlock you're going to want in every killer no matter what, unless you're maybe Hag or Trapper. But even still, I used all the game before I was using Deadlock on Trapper. So I think Thrilling and Deadlock. Well, Deadlock's going to be on like every killer. It's not going to be a bad perk on any killer. It prevents the gen rush, and that is amazing. But Deadlock with Thrilling mainly on the travel killers. Thrilling would work well on Blight as well. I like Thrilling on Billy and Nurse because of their mobility. They can get to where the gens are fast. They know which survivors are on the gens, and it helps block off those other gens for 16 seconds that aren't being worked on. That a roaming survivor after a heal may look to do a gen, and it'll slow them down just a little bit more. So yeah, and then Starstruck, Infectious. When you pick up, everybody in your terror radius, so 32 meters per Nurse, would be in hit with the exposed, so they can get one shot, and then Infectious. You can just snowball off that, and it's pretty big. So I feel like this build would do very well on Nurse. So next up we have Huntress, and this one we're actually gonna play. Okay, so this build. Okay, so on this build, the idea is that Lethal Pursuer. Anytime a survivor's aura is shown for a period of time, its duration is increased by 2 seconds. Now that's pretty big when you can compare it with other things. I'm going to combine it with Bitter Murmur. So every time a gens get done, normally if any survivor's near a gen that gets done, their aura is revealed for 5 seconds, but now it'll be 7, thanks to Lethal. And at the end of the game, when all the gens are done, instead of being shown for 10 seconds, all the auras of all survivors will be shown for 12 seconds. Pretty important, pretty nice. And on top of that, Glowing Concoction reveals the auras of all survivors hit by hatchets for 5 seconds. This may or may not work too well. The 5 go to 7. I don't know how much value we'll get from that. We'll see. And then on top of that, also Lethal will increase the seconds revealed on Darkness Revealed. So whenever I reload, when it says whenever you search a locker, whenever I reload as Huntress, all auras of any survivors within 8 meters of any lockers on the entirety of the map will be revealed for 5 seconds, but that goes to 7 seconds with Lethal Pursuer. So let's see how this works. Okay, we got Normand. But with Lethal, I don't know where people start at the beginning, which is nice. We'll make up for our lack of whispers. Nice. Used is that hard. See her healing because of Darkness Revealed. Reflection. That was a nice play with the Glowing Concoction. I knew he was going to sit on the pallet because of it. Fields. healing thanks to darkness revealed. Murmur. One concoction could actually be really nice on Huntress. I kind of underestimated its ability, its capability. There's no dead heart for distance anymore. It's going back here to heal on the boon. Two hatchet slap. What should it roll? Rough? Rough? God, he's so loud. It's still on cooldown. Seems like it. Oh, that would have been so fucking clean. Okay, so closing thoughts on this build. Would I give up Glowing Concoction for additional hatchets, whether it's an infantry belt or a leather loop? Honestly, no. Because the more hatchets that I have, the less likely I am to need to reload after like one chase. If I get a down in 2 or 3 hatchets and I still have 3 or 4 left, I'm not going to want to reload, and I'm not going to get darkness revealed value. So I think going low or normal, 5 hatchets, is actually the play here. So you get darkness revealed, because this is only a 30-second cooldown, and it doesn't actually click. It doesn't actually take effect until that reload animation is fully complete. So overall, this is 10 out of 10 build. I didn't have any lower expectations than for this one for sure. Like, I knew this one was going to be a banger, and I can't wait to play with this build like all the time and getting cross maps with Bitter Murmur, and then continue to see them because of Glowing Concoction, getting another shot. Oh, I might just become a fucking Huntress. Like I'm gonna be playing Huntress probably a lot more with this build. It's very nice. Okay, so next up, we have Myers, and I believe what I think the best build to be on him, again, Deadlock. You're going to see it on every killer now. Deadlock, Jolt, Infectious, and Bamboozle. You pop your tier 3, you get Infectious value because your materia is now 32 meters. You M1 to down, even though everybody's exposed, still M1, so you get Jolt value. And you can literally just stab, get Jolt everywhere if you're in the middle of the map, and you get Infectious proc, just walk over to it, and you don't have to worry. Even if the other survivor gets up, you know you're getting ahead just based off the fact that Jolt has no cooldown. If you down the survivor in like 20 seconds, that's a long time. If they're like with an Infectious, it's still fine because you get another Jolt proc going off. Bamboozle to help in the chase. Bamboozle is too good on Myers. When he vaults something at tier 3, he's already got 15% faster vaulting. Or I think it's 20% actually. Tier 3 is 20%. And then on top of Bamboozle, 15% for an additional 35% vaulting speed. Block the vault. Get the pellets out of the way. Get the downs fast. Get your massive Jolt value. Because it's no cooldown on it. You can just Jolt, Jolt, Jolt all fucking day. And Infectious. Just go around slugging and jolting the entire map as Deadlock covers your ass for the rogue survivor in the corner of the map doing a gen or something. You know what I mean? So I think this is a very good build on Myers. I think this is the way to go. I don't think there's anything but better. I would like to fetch Monitor on this build somewhere. You could replace Bamboozle with Monitor if you feel very, 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 very confident. But still, like, having that very, very fast, it surprises survivors all the time how fast you vault over. Just like, and you're just there. So I like that. Okay, for Hag, next up, I think there's two viable options here as far as builds go. Corrupts, this is one of those killers you're going to always want to run Corrupt on. Hag and Trapper, because they're unlikely to get it down before you are all set up with your traps. And you don't really want to get it down before you're all set up with your traps, you know, and you do want to set like at least 8 to 9 of your Hag traps and like 4 of your Bear traps where you actually start to chase somebody as Trapper or Hag. So, Corrupt, of course, must have. I like the thought of Devour with Undying. So if your Devour does get cleansed, you'll still have it. You just need to get 3 hooks until you can one-shot people with Devour, and you can really trap up your Devour, make it hard for your Devour and Undying to get cleansed. And if they do break through and get through and cleanse it, you can go back over to it, pentimento it, minus 30% repair speed for all generators. The gens now take 90 seconds instead of 80 seconds, so that 30% is like compound interest. It's now even more. It stretches even farther now. So I think that's a really big deal. And I think this would work well, very well. You're either going to get you're either going to get Devour value, or you're going to get Pentimento value, and you can trap the hell out of them before the Devour gets cleansed, and cleansed again through Undying, because your Devour stacks remain the same even after they get cleansed, and you still is up with Undying, or you continue to put Pentimento up, and you can just trap the hell out of it. Like, I just think it's great. Okay, as far as Doctor's build is concerned, I saved the best for last, Deadlock and Jolt. Those threes I think are going to be must-haves. Absolutely A1 perks. I don't think it's going to be much better than those 3 in those slots. The 4th slot is where I'm torn. Now, I'm thinking for the 4th slot we do Overcharge. Let me find Overcharge here. I think Overcharge, because when you kick the gen, it lines up that skill check. It could be reversed with Doctor. It could be like harder to do because the screen's all shaking just because of Doctor's and Madness. And on top of that, when Overcharge is applied to a gen, its regression speed increases from 100% to 400% over the course of 30 seconds. So they really have to get to it, and they really have to tap it, you know what I mean? And I think that can work in your favor. So I'm thinking this is the build. Jolt, and if you lose a chase or you don't get the down, or you just want to take a hit and kick the gen, you can do that. And you know, you could, to make sure it actually gets to a point where it starts to regress more, you could kick a gen with Overcharge, then do your static AoE. See whoever's nearby. See who's watching it, wanting to tap that gen. As soon as you kick it with Overcharge, static AoE, go find them, get them away from the gen. Hopefully they're the only one that knows about that gen that you just kicked, and it'll actually kick in that 400% regression progress. I think this is the build. I think this is going to be a very, very, very good Doctor build. Save the best for last is always great on Doctor, especially with the 10% weapon speed recovery now. Save the best for last is going to definitely see some great usage. Now you can max out at 50% weapon recovery instead of 40%, 5 stacks, 5% per stack, 8 stacks. But now you get the base 10% value. That's going to be really nice. I say 50% regarding like the old values, you know what I mean? But this build, I think, is straight money. Straight money. Okay, as far as Bubba's build is concerned, again, Deadlock, you're going to see that in every build, and Bubba, much like Billy and Myers, one-shot heroes, classic Bamboozle, it is too good. Makes them force throughout the palette, and again, you shred it with your chainsaw real fast, and it's very nice. Monitor, and with Infectious, expands your range when you get it down with your chainsaw, so instead of seeing any survivors scream within 32 meters of your terror radius, your terror radius is 32 meters, now it's 40 when you're in chase, so you can see, you know, anybody within 40 meters of the scream. Very nice for finding the next survivor. Very nice for just knowing where to go after you hook a survivor. And then Monitor, I always loved Monitor or Tinker on Bubba just because one-shot killer with a low terror radius, you can really catch survivors off guard. If the survivor's in a dead zone, they can, if they know it's a Bubba, they're likely to get off the gen, 32-meter terror radius, and, you know, probably make it to something. They're going to be, you know, if they know they're in a dead zone, they're like, I get this gen done. If they're in a dead zone early game, this gets done. With Monitor, you have more of a chance to sneak up on them and down them if they're in a dead zone before they have a chance to get to anything. So I really like Monitor. Again, these 3 are pretty commonplace for Bubba. They can be. Deadlock just taking the place of Corrupt, so to speak, with this build. Nothing really surprising here. Okay, so for Freddy, Deadlock again, you're going to see it on every killer, and I'm thinking Overcharge with Call of Brian, considering they stack. I can put up a chart here showing how they stack. Overcharge by itself, it starts at 100%, and it increases to 400% over 30 seconds. Call of Brine starts off at 200%, so just kicking with both these perks in your hand gives you a minus 300%, and then increases to 700% over the course of 30 seconds. And now with the fourth perk, I'm not entirely sure what to run. I'm thinking either Thrilling Tremors or Jolt. Freddy is an M1 killer at the end of the day. He has to get his downs from an N1. Jolt would be fantastic considering there is no cooldown on it anymore, especially if you pair this with something like Z-Block, where all survivors are inflicted with hemorrhage. You can maybe catch survivors that are healing. Hemorrhage, again, is the status effect now. It's not Mangled. Mangled gives you that longer to heal, but Hemorrhage actually gives you that if you stop healing, your progress on your healing goes down. Very great. It's actually really good and important to find a survivor who has a medkit in the middle of healing, so their medkit is rendered useless or only has one charge instead of two to fully heal. I think this would be good with Jolt. Another option, again, is Thrilling Tremors. TH. Just to know where to teleport to after you get pickup and you hook. You know to teleport to apply both Call of Brine and Overcharge to a gen. Important part about this, if you do this build, you kind of have to get into the chase with the survivor that was on the gen. Because if you don't get into the chase with the survivor that's on the gen, you kick the gen, and then the survivor that hides or evades you, you're going to be forced to spend a lot of time looking for them, or you're going to be forced to leave, and that survivor's just going to tap the gen, and then it'll be pointless. So again, I think these three are really good. So I'm thinking Thrilling or Jolt or maybe even Sloppy to slow down the game. But again, Sloppy probably wouldn't use C-Block with that. So kind of weird figuring it out. I think Thrilling might be the best case scenario though, just because you can actually know where to teleport to. Like old Barbecue, you get a hook, you barbecue, you teleport to the gen that has to survive around with Barbecue, and then you use Pop. But now Pop's kind of kept trash. So we're going to use Overcharge and Call Brine and hope that we can get into a chase with the survivor that was on the gen, and then hopefully that gen will progress significantly over the time of the chase, and nobody else will come to tap the gen. Okay, next up we have Pig, and for Pig I'm thinking Whispers, Monitor with Deadlock and Jolt. Jolt again, M1 killer, Deadlock again. You're going to see that in every single killer now. It's probably like #1 slot on most killers. Now Whispers and Monitor, so Pig is normally a 32 meter tear radius. With Whispers, she goes down to a 24, outside of chase, of course. Whispers has a 32 meter range, so if you come with Monitor, you don't have to crouch around everywhere in the beginning of the game to find a survivor. If you want to catch one off guard, you can walk around, and then once Whispers lights up, then you crouch and you kind of, assume where the survivor's at based on your gen spread that you see before you, and when your Whispers lights up, so that way you can actually get the drop on them, waste a minimal amount of time with your Whispers and your Monitor combining together to help you know when to crouch to get the drop on the survivors. Okay, next up we have Clown. Again, Deadlock again, no surprise there. Jolt again, no surprise there. It's an M1 killer. I'm thinking Save the Best for Last and Sloppy. Save the Best for Last is really good on Clown. It lets you to just hit, wipe, and then throw a bottle again, slow down to go up to hit again before they get to anything. Sloppy in general is just really good too, especially with the change that it makes it so your healing bar regresses if you're not constantly healing. You can go around using your speed bottles and maybe get to a survivor faster before they can finish the heal. I like to personally use, where is it at here? Cigar box? No, yeah. While Clown is invigorated, you see all other survivor auras for 16 meters. Throw it to where a general area where you think a survivor might be healing, and then you basically have not only nurses calling, but all seeing like Wraith. You get to see through walls for 16 meters ahead of you. See whenever somebody's healing, and hopefully stop the heal down them quickly and get an apply jolt. So I feel like this is going to be pretty solid build on Clown. As solid as you can get on Clown. Okay, next up we have Spirit. Spirit is one that I'm kind of excited for. We have Deadlock, of course. Deadlock is, again, every killer. Jolt, she's an M1 killer. She has to down with M1s. So it makes the most sense. Sloppy. Sloppy makes the most sense on Spirit because being injured against Spirit is amazing. Being able to hear a survivor cry and pain when they're injured is amazing for when you're phasing. Guarantee the down. Now, if the new changes to Iron Will now does not work when you are exhausted. And when are you exhausted? If you're on a gen and you have Fearmonger. Many people probably aren't going to be running Iron Will, but the big thing about Spirit is consistency. I never used to run Strider on Spirit, because some survivors would run Iron Will back in the day, some wouldn't, and Those that ran Iron Will, their grunts would be only 50%, and those that didn't run Iron Will would be like 150%. Some would be really loud, some would be really quiet. I'll like consistency in my sound so I can know exactly how far away a survivor is based on the volume of the cries of pain in my ears. So Fearmonger, not only does it deny Dead Hard, denies Sprint Burst, which is going to be a lot more popular. You're going to deny that Sprint Burst coming off the gen when you're approaching it with your small terror radius, because Spirit only has a 24, and you're going to deny, again, Sprint Burst, no Sprint Burst, no Dead Hard while in chase, and also, since they're exhausted, they will not be able to have any added benefit from Iron Will, which is, I think, is very nice. The one thing you have to watch out for is, off the record, the new perk does give you 100% reduced grunts of pain when a survivor gets off the hook for 8 seconds, as well as the endurance status effect. So you really, really do not want to chase somebody that just got off the hook. Spirit, because the odds are there's a good chance they could have off the record, and you'll be playing against classic Iron Will again. So you don't really want to be doing that. And I think this build is definitely going to be solid. We'll see how it goes though. Burning Storehouse. We're getting a lot of like classic maps, which is very good for us as far as testing is concerned. Gaming. Jolts. Oh, I'm not surprised. We'll try that again. What? I got Haddonfield. This will truly be a test. Instead of learning to play the new meta, they just DC. How else are you gonna learn? It sucks not like knowing where to go. So let's go far. She didn't touch a gen, so she should have. It's Jolts. That's the Neo over there. She's got a medkit to heal, don't forget. Stop the heal. I'll gladly give everybody sloppy. Flashlight? No flashlight. Fixated. I think she does have fixated. Jolts. That hard. Jolts. 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 And it has like no progress now. Safe to say, I think that build is gonna be a winner. Alright, final closing statements after that. If they don't all DC, they're probably gonna die with only one gen done on Haddonfield. So I'd say this build, absolute A+. I'd say run this all the time on Spirit. Maybe substitute out like Fearmonger with a Nurse's Calling if you are confident with like waiting out the little Dead Hard animation. But you still have to deal with the influx of Sprint Burst. After the Dead Hard nerf, you're going to see a lot more Sprint Burst, maybe some Lives too. So this is very nice to get rid of the Exhaustion perks once they're on the gen. And of course, small Terror Radius, 24 meters of Spirit. you're going to get them and catch them off guard before they have a chance to do their walking, you know what I mean? As long as you don't phase. Okay, for Legion, Thana, Deadlock, and Jolt, must-haves. Absolute must-haves. Especially when combined with these two specific add-ons. We're looking at Joey's Mixtape with the Deface Smiley Pin. Joey's Mixtape inflicts hemorrhage until fully healed. Anybody that's hit with your frenzy will get hemorrhage. What's hemorrhage? If you catch somebody healing, the progress will slowly go away if they're not continuously healing. Hemorrhage is big on Legion, and you're getting it with every frenzy is huge. On top of that, give them mangled. Make it longer for them to take the heal. Make your Thana stretch even wider, even longer. So it's going to be huge. So mangled. So basically these two add-ons give you the full effect of Sloppy Butcher with every hit that you complete in Feral Frenzy. And that is amazing when paired with Thanatophobia and with Jolt with no cooldown. So if they choose not to heal, you're going to catch them easier because they're not going to have a health state. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking this last perk can go many different ways. But I'm thinking at the end of the day, Monitor, because it pairs too well with the Legion's power. When you frenzy and you get a hit, your what is it called? Killer Instinct. It's based on your terror radius. So, and a chase, normally Legion 32 meters no matter what. But with Monitor, it's going to be 40 when you're chase. So you get Killer Instinct for much longer. And also, you can catch people off guard that choose to stay injured and punish them with Jolt. Very good combination. I'm going to see how this plays out. Instead of Monitor, you could use Colorblind, Overcharge. Discordance is also very good for finding survivors right early on. Thrilling Charmers is also very good for knowing when to go after the hook, but I think Monitor is the play here just because it plays so well with the power. Hopefully these survivors will not be as salty as the last ones. Again, these add-ons, Joey's Mixtape with Deface Smiley Pen, Sloppy Butcher on every Feral Frenzy hit that you land. I guess if they self-met from Feral Frenzy, they're included with Hemorrhage. Most people will self-met. So it has to be self-ment. If they ment each other, it doesn't actually do anything, I'm pretty sure. But most will self-ment, and I think that's where we're going to get our value. I think this outweighs using something like the Mischiefless, which increases your duration by 2 seconds. Like, 2 seconds isn't a whole lot. And then this increases your speed bonus per Feral Frenzy hit by 0.3 meters a second. That really isn't a whole lot, and I don't think that's going to make a difference here. I like the idea of getting Sloppy Butcher to everybody who self-mends. Alright, here we go. We got Legion on Badham Preschool with the new meta change build. Whole lot different. Thana still being number one. I can't believe they buffed Thana. It's even more. Thana buff and Jolt buff are going to put Legion into like upper B tier, I feel like. Not quite A because they still are limited, but upper B for sure. Let's see if we can get this without duration. Maybe not. This is standard. Protection range is long. I don't think I would have made that. Ooh, that was a dead hard. Jolt applies this again. Jolts. No Jolt cooldown. Jolt again. Dude, Thana getting buffed on top of each gen taking 10 more seconds? You realize Thana getting buffed, Thana could stay the same, and it'd still be immensely stronger. Because the extra 10 seconds to do a gen turns into like an extra 13 seconds for every single gen while everybody's injured through Thana. Okay, so overall, I would say this build, again, 10 out of 10. Jolt and Thana is so oppressive with these two. If they heal and you Feral Frenzy one, you could Feral Frenzy one when everybody's injured just to find if somebody's healing within 40 meters of you with Monitor. and you get two killer instincts right on top of each other, you know they're healing. You can just run over there. Oh, whoops! I can't continue the heal. They lose all their healing progress, and you probably will get it down. Applying jolt again. Like it's fucking great, man. It's fucking great. And as you approach that 40 meters, you get into the chase. You Feral Frenzy. You get your 40 meters detection range, and as you approach the two that are healing, your tear rate is only 24 meters because Monitor reduces it by 8 when not in a chase, but you know where they're at because you're both standing still healing. They just don't know you're coming. Fucking good stuff, man. So this is my first build with Plague. I'm thinking Deadlock, Thana, Plaything, and Pentimento. Plaything is strictly there. No terror radius. After you hook a survivor, that survivor will see you as not having a terror radius until they cleanse it. And once they do cleanse it, you can light it up for Pentimento value. So let's see how this goes. Again, Thana's kind of self-explanatory on Plague. Super good on Plague. Always good on Plague. If they stay injured and don't cleanse, you get the Thana value to the max. Deadlock value is also good on any killer, like we've been saying. And then I think Pentimento goes best with Plaything as far as creating a lot of Hex Totems throughout the match and able to light them up and get more value off them later in the game. Okay, we got Badham Preschool. You're just on the same map, Badham Preschool tool as Legion, so let's see how it goes as Plague. Home Spirit. For a moment. Through the dead hard? No dabbies. Nice. Sprint Burst Fang. Nice moves. Rena's dead. Okay, at the end of the day, I'd say this Plague build is A+. I would not change a whole lot. There is an alternate Plague build I would like to do, though, and that has to do with the Black Incense. And instead of Pentimento and Plaything, we run Lethal Pursuer. Because Lethal Pursuer, again, adds 2 seconds to any time a survivor's aura is shown. So I would add 2 seconds to the Black Incense. Instead of 3 seconds, it'll be 5 seconds showed. I'm not sure how great that would be. It's just an idea. I think it'd be pretty nice synergy going on there with the Plagues add-on and Lethal Pursuer. Okay, next we have Ghostface. Now, the idea with Ghostface, I really like this idea. Using Whispers on Ghostface is always really nice because you know when to even press your to activate your power to enter your Night Shroud. So when Whisper starts to light up, you can activate your Night Shroud. You kind of know how to approach. You can kind of guess what gen they're on based on when your Whispers lights up or not. You know how close you can get, and which you can kind of figure out which route to take to avoid getting revealed by the survivors as you try to mark the survivors and get them exposed before they're even aware of it. So yeah, we use Whispers, and then I like Sloppy Butcher on this because it'll the survivors will want to heal because if you catch them, you don't even need to mark them. You can just down them in Night Shroud because they won't even know you're there. So if you manage to catch them while they're injured and you have your Night Shroud and you're using it, let's get insta downed and you'll get Jolt value immediately. And of course you get Jolt off any exposed hit you do because it's always an M1. And of course Deadlock is there to prevent the gens from being done a little bit too fast. And I believe this will be the pretty solid build for Ghostface. I think Whispers here is probably the great addition just to prevent yourself from getting revealed early on when you're in Night Shroud at the beginning of the game. And maybe getting that double stock off of Gen's really nice. Okay, Ironworks of Misery. Again, we're getting only but the good maps, the classic maps. I see somebody right ahead. In the middle. Deadlock. This pallet over here. Oh my goodness. There's the jolts. God. She's right here. Oops. That's the one I meant to mark. This is a good build, man. This is a good build. Like the Whispers, knowing when to crouch and avoid eye contact at the beginning. Okay, for demo, I'm thinking Deadlock, Overcharge, Call O'Brien, Save the Best for Last. Save the Best for Last has always been good on demo because you can use their Shred to preserve stacks when you're going to use your Shred on the Obsession. Overcharge and Call O'Brien for that super turbo gen regression when you do kick a gen. And of course Deadlock to prevent that gen rush. Alternatively, you could get rid of Overcharge and Call O'Brien and put on Monitor Infectious. I do think that's good. Or also Enduring Spirit Fury could also be good. It depends on which way you want to go. If you want to do gen kicking, Overcharge, Call O'Brien. You want to do slugging, finding survivors easier, Monitor Infectious. You want to just be a turbo demo and just fucking eat through every pallet and not have to worry about them, Enduring Spirit Fury. And that's pretty much it. I think any of those would be pretty solid. As long as you're running Save the Best for Last and Deadlock on demo, you're pretty much set. Alright, next we have the Oni, and build on him, I think it's going to be very solid, is Deadlock, Infectious, Monitor, and Scourgehook Floods of Rage. I think Scourgehook Floods of Rage is pretty slept on Oni, just because when you do hook somebody and they are unhooked, all the other survivors' auras are revealed for 7 seconds. I think that's pretty big, if you can get the survivor to a Scourgehook, knowing where everybody's at, more importantly, knowing where they're going to be if the gen they're working on doesn't have a lot of progress. They're going to be there for a while. You know where to go once you have your power up again. Just thinking ahead, just a little bit ahead. Let's say it takes you 30 more seconds to get your power again from going to an area to suck up blood orbs or getting an M1 on a survivor that's nearby, whoever going for the hook trade. You know where to go once your power is full. Because of the information you have from Floods of Rage, they're going to be on that gen. You can activate your power and just zoom on over and down them. They get a little less time to react with Sprint Burst or whatever they have to run to with your Monitor, and also, of course, Monitor synergizes with Infectious, giving you a 40-meter AoE on any survivors that you down. Anybody within 40 meters that will scream revealing their location, and you just keep snowballing from there. Right. Oni. Father Campbell's Chapel. I'm getting very, very good maps for testing these builds on, which I'm appreciative for. Scourgehook right there. 3 gens in the circus. Three gens in the circus. Something there. Oh, that's bad. Nice. Oh, they're all here. Right. The builds was not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, this build, I like Deadlock, I like Infectious, I like Monitor. Scourge Floods of Rage, it can get its value in certain niche situations where you get an unhook and you're like chase like if they unhook and you can't really find anybody and you have your power ready to go, you can, maybe see where somebody unhooked, then use your power without having to go back to the hook. I think that's pretty good. I'm trying to think what I would put in place of this. Maybe No Way Out. Um, Hard to say. I'm not entirely sold on the fourth perk. I don't think Tinker is good. Maybe Lethal Pursuer, just to get your first hit right away. Although it's kind of bad because you have to walk all the way there where the survivor's at. You're not very mobile at the start of the game until you get your power. So hard to say. Hard to say. Discordance could be a good fourth pick. Whispers would be decent. Lethal would be decent. Hex Plaything would be decent, just to get them to waste time on cleansing. Plus, you not having a terror radius will always work in your favor for getting easier M2s, but also getting M1s on people that are healthy walking by you, getting you to your power faster. I feel like that could be helpful as well. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a pretty solid build. This is replaceable, but at the end of the day, this could also be a very good fourth perk as well. Okay, next up we have Slinger, and for Slinger, I think the best perks would be Save the Best for Last, Deadlock, Starstruck, and Jolt. Jolt, you're always going to get value off Jolt because the only way you down people is with your M1. Even if you shoot them and reel them in, still going to be an M1. Deadlock delays the gen rush. Save the Best for Last. With the added 10% weapon recovery animation, if you have full stacks, that's insane. You could hit, wipe your gun very quickly, and then go to shoot again. Survivors, it's hard to gauge when you're going to shoot as it is, and it's hard to survivor to guess how many stacks you're at and how fast you can ready up again and have your gun ready to shoot them. Say the best West is all around great on Deathslinger, just for that unpredictability. Is he at 3 stacks? Is he at 6 stacks? Is he at 8 stacks? How fast can you shoot me after getting this M1? It's very nice. Starstruck, enjoy Starstruck. The idea of Starstruck on Deathslinger, especially after they changed his terror radius to be 32 meters instead of 24 as it was previously. That way, whenever you pick up any survivor within your terror radius, 32 meters is exposed, and you can maybe find them, shoot them, and with the help of your gun, you can get them before they run away. Because Starstruck, it only has 30 seconds for the survivor to be exposed. Cooldown every 60, but with your gun and Mr. Predictability, maybe you can shoot them, reel them in, and down them before the Starstruck expires. So I think all in all, this is a very solid build for the Deathslinger as far as perks go. For Pyramid Head, we're rolling with I'm All Ears, Deadlock, Monitor, and A Nurse's Calling. A Nurse's Calling, Monitor, and I'm All Ears are amazing for seeing people, getting the drop on people, getting your hits in. I love the idea of I'm All Ears, being able to get hits behind walls. Is very, very nice when people fast fault something and they think that you don't know where they're going, but you actually do know, and they don't think to fake where they're going because there's no line of sight, but you know where they're going because you don't need line of sight because you do have I'm All Ears. I do like the idea of Monitor and Nurse's Calling, so it brings your terror radius down from a 32 down to a 24, and Nurse's Calling gives you a 28 meter range, so you can see them before they could hear your terror radius. You can see them healing, and then with the range add-ons, your base range is 8 meters on your ranged attack, and this increases it to 9.5. This increases it to 10.5. So sometimes they hear your terror radius, 2 more seconds of walking towards them, go down with your blade down, and you can often get a double hit that way with 2 survivors that are healing each other with a Nurse's Calling and Monitor with double range. This build isn't too far off. My old build was just replacing Deadlock with Barbecue. Back with Barbecue gave double blood points, but now we can replace that with Deadlock for a little bit more added reassurance of preventing the gen rush, which is quite nice on Pyramid Head. Next, we have Blight. Now, I have always been an enjoyer of Blight with Lethal Pursuer, being able to tell the survivors are ready to start. You just start charging towards them, get your hit in right away. This will pair nicely with Thana. You get your first hit in right away, and once the survivor gets that gen at the beginning, already a minus 5.5% to their repair speed, which is quite nice. However, I do enjoy the idea of Lethal Pursuer, how it says, anytime a survivor's aura is shown for a period of time, its duration is increased by 2 seconds. This will pair nicely with Compound 21, because normally when you very slam within an 8 meter radius of a survivor, it shows their aura for 3 seconds. Now it will be 5 seconds. Not the biggest difference in the world, but it can be quite nice for predicting survivor movement once they break line of sight, and they're still a short distance away from you. So I like the pairing of this and this. Most good Blights will often pair Rat with Crow for increasing your speed significantly after each rush. I find that the Crow was often just enough, and Compound 21 can help me find immersed survivors hiding in bushes. I can just, at the beginning of the game, knock into something, kind of give a scan around. If I see the Compound 21 scoring event in the upper right, I know there's a survivor nearby. I know to look around to be more mindful. And if I see their aura, sometimes 3 seconds, most of the time is enough, but sometimes you run frantically, you don't see it, like, what the fuck? Or especially if you're in, like, Area of Crows, the map's, like, generally, like, orange tintish in general. But with Lethal Pursuer, getting that extra 2 seconds, guarantee the sight on the survivors, guarantee you can see where they're hiding if they're nearby with the Compound 21 synergy, so I think that's quite nice. Thrilling Tremors, again, you know where the survivors are going to be after you pick up and hook. The gens that aren't blocked, you're going to rush straight to those. Thana, a general slowdown, very nice. It rewards you for hitting survivors, and you're going to hit survivors often if you're doing well with Blight. And Deadlock, preventing the gen rush in general. Jolt won't work too well on Blight as much as we love Jolt, because whenever you rush and hit, it doesn't count as an M1, unlike with Spirits lunging out of phasing and Nurses lunging out of blinking. Blights, for whatever reason, does not count as an M1 for reasons of Jolt, say the best for last stacks or army stacks, etc. His hits when he's rushing don't count as M1, so we can't really use Jolt. Pop and Ruin are out of the question. They're not really good anymore. And then Scourge Hook isn't really good because it doesn't give any noise notification anymore. I'm talking about pain resonance strictly. It doesn't show the which gen gets regressed. You hook somebody and then it's just gone. So I think this is a very solid build. Thana, I'm trying to think of what I would likely replace with Thana, and I honestly can't think of anything. You can't get value off of any exposed perks because, again, when you're dashing around, it doesn't count as an M1. So even if they were exposed and you're dashing around them and you get a hit, it wouldn't really do anything. Dissolution could be maybe good. Let's see, actually. Yeah, as far as Thana is considered, you could easily replace Thana with Fearmonger. Just because you're going to see an influx of Sprint Bursters after Dead Hard nerf, or you can just prevent the Dead Hard altogether with Fearmonger. I think that's a good idea, actually. So you could go Thana, you could go Fearmonger. I think I'm going to stick with Thana for now and see how that goes. But for sure, Deadlock, for sure, Thrilling Tremors, and for sure, Lethal Pursuer with the Compound 21 synergy. So let's go Thana for now and see how that goes. I think Fearmonger could be a close second, so we can experiment with that slot. I think going forward, I might run Fearmonger instead of Thana. I didn't think about Fearmonger. That's actually really good. Here we go. Suffocation Pit. Once again, I'm getting all the best. Okay, so lethal. Right at the start, right at the start, right at the start, right at the start. 2, 3. I don't see the 4th. Maybe he's got distortion. Okay. I thought it'd be right there. Let's see how this works, the Compound 21. What the fuck is this? What is this? I just DC'd because it's Blight. Oh my goodness. Compound 21, baby. With lethal, that extended ore reading is insane. How do I play around this? Let's think of what we're working with here. We have the hook we can bounce off into a tree. Into the shack. Hook. Tree. Shack. You only start with 3 tokens, and you get 1 token for spending 30 seconds in the killer's stare radius. That's an extremely long amount of time in the killer's stare radius. Okay, so I think Thana, you could maybe replace Thana with Fearmonger to prevent the influx of sprint bursts you're going to see with the change of Dead Hard. This could be really nice. Or just preventing the Dead Hards too, because like it guarantees you a pallet or a vault if you use it like on top of the pallet or the vault. But I like the idea of Fearmonger too on top of this build. I think this is a very nice build. Fearmonger or Thana for sure. You maybe could do like a Hex play thing and a Hex Pentimento build.
This could work too. Plaything is always really good on Blight, in my opinion. Um, I think this is a solid build too. Either or. Uh, but I think for now, I like the idea that lethal works with Compound 21. I think that's very, very, very nice. Feels a lot better, and you can predict them a lot more. I don't think survivors are going to think about that too often. Okay, for twins, Sloppy, Thana, Deadlock, and Overcharge. I like Overcharge on the twins mainly because you can see where a gen is done and a survivor's running away. You can kick the gen with Overcharge and kind of block it, slash be next to it with Cheryl and just throw out Victor and go out and seek them out and damage them or down them, getting your Thana pressure up, and they're unlikely to tap the gen when the husk of Cheryl is nearby it. So you're going to get some Overcharge value. Alternatively, you could do this build. Overcharge, Call of Brine, Dragon's Grip, and Sloppy. I love this one very much because it's the same premise. You kick a gen, and you know where Survivor's at, you just send Victor out after them. But in doing so, when you kick that gen, you apply Overcharge, you apply Call of Brine, and you apply Dragon's Grip, and you're idle. Her Husk is idle at the gen. So if they do come up and have the balls to actually touch the gen, they will be exposed. Immediately switch back, down them, applying Sloppy Butcher so it's harder for them to heal, and easier to pick them off with Victor later on. So this is another build I think is slightly tweaked and very solid on the twins. Alright, next we have Trickster, and for Trickster, we're going to be running Deadlock, Lethal Pursuer, Iron Maiden, and Darkness Revealed. I really like this build because, again, this combines what we're doing with Huntress, the Lethal Pursuer synergy with Darkness Revealed. So every time you reload your knives, you'll see any survivors on the entire map that are within 8 meters of any of the lockers. And instead of 5 seconds, it is for 7 seconds because it is extended with Lethal Pursuer. I think that's a very nice synergy that we have with both Huntress and Trickster. Lethal Pursuer with Darkness Revealed because they're going to reload at the lockers anyway. So when they search the locker for a survivor, reloading counts as that. So you do still get to see the auras of any survivors on the map. I caught a lot of survivors when I played Huntress with this exact same build. I didn't have Iron Maiden on. I believe for Huntress I had something else. I believe for Huntress that I had... Where's Huntress? Where's Huntress? For Huntress I had Bitter Murmur for doing cross-map shots, but you can't really get Bitter Murmur value off Trickster, so we're going with Iron Maiden instead so we can reload a bit faster. Alright, for Nemesis, this is the build I'm thinking. Deadlock, Deadman's, Hex Plaything, and Hex Pentimento. Deadlock, of course, you're going to see that on every killer. It's the #1 perk on all killers. I don't think it's a killer that is bad with Deadlock out of all the 20 killers in the game currently. Deadman Switch, the reason why I put this on is because I very much enjoy how the zombies can get people off gens. If you get a hook, Deadman's is up for the next 45 seconds, and if a zombie pushes a survivor off of the gen across the map, boom, you just get Deadman's value naturally. That's very nice, because they can't stay on the gen while the zombies are chasing them and infecting them or possibly injuring them if they're already infected. So I feel like Deadman Switch is very nice, because zombies can naturally force people off gens after that 45-second hook stage period. Hex Plaything, having no tear radius is amazing all the time, and what's even better than having no tear radius, making people waste time to cleanse hex totems and take that time to cleanse the hex totem. What's even better as that is using Pentimento to bring the totem back to get minus 30% repair speed, or on top of that, if you get 2 of the Pentimento sub, minus 30% healing speed, giving like a natural, slightly boosted Sloppy Butcher to every damaging thing that you do. Very nice. Forcing them to get back on the totem, and you never even know. Zombies might force the survivors off the totems while they're cleansing the totem, yeah, further wasting their time, which I think this is a very solid build. I don't think there's a build better than this. Maybe you could go take Deadman Switch and put on Save the Best for last for a little bit, because you could tentacle your Obsession and save your stacks, and that could be really nice. But at the end of the day, I think this is a very solid build. I'm very happy and confident with this build, and I know that this build will definitely perform very well on Nemesis. Okay, so as far as our Pinhead build goes, Deadlock, again, for obvious reasons. We're going to use Franklin's with Hoarder. Hoarder, so we know when someone within our terror radius. I believe it's within the terror radius? No, it's within 64 meters. Even better. We'll know if anybody within 64 meters picks up an item, more importantly, the cube. And once we know that they have the cube picked up, we can use Franklin's to frank it off of them and immediately start a chain hunt. And if we can get a hook, the greatness of the chain hunt is that if we get a hook, they'll force anybody off a gen, which will auto-activate Deadman's Switch. very important to get the chain hunt going, just to get the Deadman switch synergy. They can't stay on the gen when this hook's pulling them off, and they get off to dodge the hook that's Deadman's value anyways. It's an obvious win-win. So I overall believe this is a fantastic perk build for Pinhead. So for our artist build, we're going to run Deadlock, Thrilling Tremors, Deadman Switch, and Call Up Brian. Ideally, this last perk is negotiable. We can run many different things right here. But Deadlock, Thrilling, and Deadman Switch, you get it down, you pick up, Thrilling activates, you get the hook, you look around, see which is not blocked, and then you send birds at whatever's not blocked to then block it, because they'll have to get off of it if there's birds on them. You hit them with birds from across the map, they have to get off the gen to repel the birds off them, or they risk it. If they don't get off the gen, stay on the whole time, they're just going to take a damage stage from your second volley of birds. They have to repel. So in doing so, when they get off the gen, you get Deadman's value instantly. Artist is the best Deadman Switch user in the entire game. Better than Pinhead, better than Nemesis. This perk is a must-have for her, because you can auto-force it on every gen immediately after every hook and guarantee at minus 40 seconds, so that gen's going to be untouched. So I think that's a really good synergy. Fourth perk could be Call Up Brian, could be Overcharge, could be Thana, could be Fearmonger. Of those two, I think those are probably the best ones. I'm going to try running Call Up Brian and see how that goes. Is Painres dead? Yes. Problem with Painres is it gives no sound notification now. Alright, for Onryo, I'm thinking something like this. Deadlock, make your choice, Call Up Brian and Overcharge. Again, the Call Up Brian and Overcharge stacking is actually really, really good. If you can kick a gen that a survivor either doesn't know is going to regress, or there's only one survivor on the gen, you could kick it and chase them off so they're unable to tap it, and it regresses. Even for only like 10-15 seconds, that's still, you're getting pretty good value there. Make a choice, or when they unhook, you could possibly teleport to a TV backed by the hook and instantly get value off that by downing the person that got the unhook because they're exposed for Make a Choice. Alternatively, there is a second build I believe you can do as well. Alternatively, on Onryo, I'm thinking a build like this would be quite nice as well. Deadlock with Thana and Sloppy, as well as Jolt. Every down you're going to get is going to be an M1, so you're constantly going to get Jolt value. Sloppy and Thana just making it really hard and punishing for them to stay injured, and also very hard to fully heal, because you can catch them often off guard with your power. This is a really good alternative build for the Onryo as well. Alright, and for the Dredge, it's going to be the same build as the alternative Onryo build was, which is Thana, Sloppy, Jolt, and Deadlock. I don't think it's much better than this. It's just a general good M1 killer build. I think I have the same build on my Wraith as well. It's just really strong. There's not much to complain here as an M1 killer, especially since they buffed Jolt to have no cooldown. It just all pairs together really nicely if they stay injured with Sloppy, and once you catch up to the survivor again, you only have to hit them once instead of twice, so, you know, if they're fully healed without the Sloppy. So again, Thana, Jolt, Sloppy, Deadlock, very solid Dredge build, very solid Onryo build, very solid Wraith build, very solid M1 killer build.